What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of the After You cast. Today, we're actually filming an episode for the first time outside of our hometown of Slough, my hometown of Slough. And I'm very excited about it because I've been coming here a little while for back and forth, doing little bits of projects, working with really, really cool people. But I've been wanting to actually get someone on who's from the area who can kind of resonate a little bit more. So, without further ado, could you please introduce yourself to the people?
Hey, thank you, Theo. Thank you for this opportunity. Hi, everyone. My name is Marcus Smith. I'm a multimedia creative based in Bristol. And I do all sorts: radio, podcasting, filmmaking, writing. Also, I play around with virtual reality and 3D scanning as well. So, all sorts.
Well, brother, it's a blessing, honestly. It's a blessing to have you on, man.
Thank you.
And as I said, guys, I've been for a little while now. I've been coming back and forth here and working on some creative little projects behind closed doors. Collaborating with some cool brands. And one thing that struck me the first time that I've come to Bristol was, how vast the creative scene is. Like from the outside looking in, I know a lot of people know about it, but until you come, you don't get to see how many cool creatives are. There's always events, festivals, things going on. So, just wanted to, hear it from the horse's mouth, man, and just get a story, bit of background about who you are, and, just talk a little bit about Bristol and the scene itself.
Yeah, so. Sure. Just about the creativity in Bristol, apparently, I think, per, person out of the country, Bristol has, the most density of DJs.
Really?
Than any other place in the country, and creatives as well.
That makes a lot of sense because when you look at all of the events, the festivals, things like that, they need to have good DJs, you know what I mean? So it makes a lot of sense why there's so many. But that stands out because you see so many just cultural events, and not just for let's say young people. It's quite diverse. You know what I mean? You've got young people, you'll have food, you'll have culture, you'll have arts and entertainment, music, and it's good to see that on the street and just in local community there's a lot of different things going on for people to get involved in. So man, it'd be great to just kind of hear you. First of all, let's take it back because obviously we can get into Bristol stuff as we get into the convo, cool. But let's get a little bit of a background about who you are, man, because that's one thing that was really cool when I met you, hearing that you're into radio, DJing and that stuff. So, talk to us about how your journey started.
I think my creative journey started when I was a teenager.
Okay, yeah.
So, around 11, 12. Up until that point, I wanted to be a footballer.
I hear
100% football.
Yeah, that was my path too, man.
But I got a really bad knee injury at about that age.
Late teens?
Early teens, 11, 12, 13,
wow.
Quite young, bad knee injury, couldn't play football for best part of a year. Wow. So my dad said, well, what are you going to do with your spare time now?
That's the next
how are you going to keep yourself occupied?
Yep.
I'm not quite sure how it worked out, but I came to the decision that I wanted to go to a local drama club.
Okay, yeah.
ITV West drama workshop,
nice.
That it was called, in South Bristol. So I just started going there weekly, and as a result of going there I started to get acting roles in short film.
Nice.
And then it went into getting roles on TV. So I got acting roles in Casualty and in Little Britain.
Oh, brilliant!
So I played
that's hilarious, by the way, Little Britain.
So yeah, I played a love interest of Vicky Pollard, the Bristolian character. Yeah, but that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I acted in like a TV series for BBC called Rocket Man. So things, really blossomed, and the acting took off.
Yeah.
So I did that for a considerable amount of time, but then I decided that I wanted to go travelling. So I went off travelling to like South Africa and America, etc. And then I went to university, and I was thinking, do I want to go to drama school or do I want to do something else? And I decided that maybe drama school wasn't for me. Although I was acting, I didn't think I would maybe...
You wanted something either complementary or something different to like complement what he's doing, like to maybe not take the fun out of it. Yeah.
But I got to that point where I stopped enjoying acting. But I'm happy I went to university and I studied politics in the end at Reading.
That's different. Okay.
Yeah. Because I am a bit of a political geek, so it helped.
Yeah, 100%.
and I enjoyed it. I was like, if I'm going to go to university and spend 3 years reading about something, I want it to be something that I'm interested in.
Absolutely.
So it was politics, and actually it was going to South Africa that made me want to study politics, because I was learning about Mandela and apartheid and
incredible regime.
A
lot of nuance to that.
I was like, this is interesting.
Yeah. So that makes sense, as you've obviously gotten to the radio as a side to maybe on like podcasting and social content creation. I understand it makes more sense to come down that lane because you're talking about current issues, current trends and politics and things like that too.
I think
that's a bit of a difference obviously from the acting side, doesn't it? So that must have been the people you were in class with, your friends. You're this cool acting guy who's come from drama school, but now you're dealing with a lot of like political minds. Must be different.
I don't see much difference actually. I don't see much difference because I think my understanding of politics is quite broad. I think when people hear the word politics, they think Houses of Parliament, MPs, etc. But the best definition I ever heard of politics was power, question mark, who, what, where, how, and that's in like so many different aspects and dynamics of our life.
That is true,
including in the media and creative industry as well. And then telling stories about that, about power. So it's been really useful.
That's a brilliant way of coming into it. I always like to. This is why I think it's important to have conversations in the flesh, because you're able to iron out certain things and ask certain questions when you hear. Because perception sometimes is everything, especially in the art and entertainment field, because people look at you and they're going to judge you off the image of what you do first. So I've come into it from the photography side of things. That's what I went to university for. So it's always about the scene, picturing things, preempting and thinking before. But in terms of communication or commentary, social commentary, things like that, it's a very different field, isn't it? But in terms of, when I say different, I was talking in it from in terms of how you do it. So the execution is different, but the actual holistic package of what it is not that different. Like you said, the who, what, where, when, how.
Storytelling.
Exactly. Storytelling tends to be the common denominator across a vast amount of fields, you know what I mean? So talk to us a little bit about like growing up in Bristol.
Growing up in Bristol, wow. I think when you're of Caribbean African heritage, living in Bristol, a lot of people make the assumption that you have grown up in the St. Paul's area.
Okay, so the St. Paul's, so
the St. Paul's area is like, the Brixton of Bristol.
Bristol, fair enough.
But for me, no, I grew up in deep south Bristol.
Wow, okay.
Very white working class area, I quite often say I grew up in the white ghetto. Which I did.
You know what's funny? It's kind of the same in my aspect. Like Slough's kind of that vibe. Very working class, white working class. I understand.
South Bristol boy at heart. And then I sort of moved to Kingswood area, which is like sort of far east Bristol as a teenager. Which was a bit more mixed, a bit more diverse than South Bristol. So yeah, all sides of Bristol I've lived and experienced, and in my 20s as well. I actually got round to living in St Paul's for a few years. As well.
You fit the stereotype eventually.
I only lived there for a bit.
Yeah.
But now I'm living, in Easton, which is a really, great mixed area, and a lot of people moving from London to Bristol love Easton area. We're in Easton Community Centre right now because it's probably the most similar part. Probably most similar to London, where it's like a real melting pot of different people.
Yeah, you can feel that when you're out and you're going about, like, the kids on the street,
and everyone gets along.
It's like an estate in London. It could be anywhere. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I hear that.
So I'm living here now. My family's really interesting. So yeah, I'd say like the sort of the Jamaican side of my family is in a way sort of quite middle class, really. Sort of all home owning.
I know them ones.
Got like professions and proper jobs,
doctors and lawyers,
doing well. And that Jamaican family is extended out to New York as well. So I spent quite a bit of time in New York.
So do I.
Yeah,
it's funny. Like Jamaicans, I'm Jamaican too as well, and it's funny. We congregate in the same areas, don't we? Florida, New York, obviously outside of the Caribbean, of course, London, Bristol, Manchester. Tend to be like those spots there. You're going to find enough Jamaicans. You know what I mean? So, it's good to see that even out here you've got that still same connection. Yeah, continue on. Sorry for cutting you.
No, fine. Where was I?
Yeah, so we were just talking about the Jamaican side and its unique.
Yeah. So like that's the Jamaican side, and then my more mixed side of the family, where it's white working class, etc., mixed with Dominican as well.
Oh wow!
Not Dominican Republic.
Dominica.
I always like to make that clear.
Yeah, make that clear. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, they were like more the council estate sort of upbringing and background, more working class. So yeah, it's interesting because when you a lot of these discussions start happening in society around race and class, like. It's complex and it's intersection, intersectionality.
Yes.
So I think it gives me sort of an interesting perspective, you can say. What
I'm getting from it is very similar to kind of a little bit of my upbringing, which is you're kind of you're the anomaly in a lot of rooms.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Because you're educated, but the class group we come from, in terms of being from the Caribbean, a lot of people will make that assumption we're working class. We come from this geographic area, and when you're not part of that, you fit into a small group already. And then you talk about sport and football, so that's even a smaller group of competing athletically. And then getting into politics, it's even a finer group. Do you see what I'm saying? So as we a lot of realise with a lot of Caribbeans, particularly, and minorities in general, but particularly I can speak from the Caribbeans, when you step outside of the social norm or the determined fate for you, the numbers get very small finding like minds, you know what I mean? So when I met you, it was kind of just like, oh, rah. No, I mean, like another one of your own people, you know what I mean? Especially when you're going out into places where you're not going to be the familiar face. So there's a lot of challenges that come with that.
Yeah, and groups of people are not monolithic. I think we're quite easy in society to categorise people into groups.
Yeah, agreed.
But within those groups, there's diversity of thought and action and professions and backgrounds and families. So I find it tough when sort of people are easily categorized, and I feel like with a lot of my work now, what I do in terms of the filmmaking and podcasts, I'm constantly trying to challenge the stereotypes.
I agree,
particularly when it comes to race and class and gender. I just love to
stir up the pot.
Not to do the typical stuff, stuff that's been done before.
I like that. So let's talk to about. So obviously, growing up in Bristol, very diverse community. It seems very much a little bit like London. Even Slough, where I'm from, is very, very diverse. Because we got the airport.
Yeah, but I would say with Bristol though, it's diverse in pockets.
Okay.
It's not all round.
It's not widespread.
No, it's in pockets.
Okay.
And then also, I think Bristol has a tendency to give this image of itself as like this utopia of diversity, and it's part of its brand, but I actually don't think it's necessarily the case. So I just want to put that out.
Yeah,
put
that's
that out
important.
there. It's my hometown. I can say what I want.
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, it's in pockets it works really well.
Okay.
In certain institutions, like community radio station that I run, BCFM, I feel like we have a real good mix of people. But that's not always the case.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But saying that, Bristol in pockets and in certain spaces is great. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as you just mentioned that you brought up as well, I would like to personally give a big shout out to BCFM, just for I'll make sure I'll put a link in the description where you guys can find them, because it's one of the places I managed to come a few times since I've been visiting Bristol, and they've just been very hospitable, just very welcoming, good people, diverse conversations. That's what it's about. And you've got to find inroads and bridges to people. I always say, like, the platform I try to build is about building relationships. It's not necessarily about talking points or topics, because you can kind of fish out any topic. We could sit here and talk about anything. We could talk about football for an hour. We could talk about anything. But
I can talk about football for 3 hours.
Honestly, you just keep going. It's just all day. We sit here and then people are getting bored.
We will. Maybe after.
But exactly. Once we cut, we'll get into that. But I think it's just great having connectivity with people, and the more we can make inroads to blend communities from different places, and it's not just online, I think that's a lot healthier, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, big shout out, big thank you to BCFM for, just hosting, allowing me to come here and, film this episode, bring it to you guys. And, shout out, go check them out, guys. So, as you've grown up over the years, and then you started getting into, I know you mentioned politics, and then when did you start making that turn and inroad towards the radio, the hosting, the, speaking?
Yeah.
When did that kind of come on?
Yeah, so I studied politics at Reading, and then I did the same again at Warwick University for a master's, but more like international relations, but like sort of more global politics and current affairs. And in between that, can I just mention New York? Because New York was like a real, like, massive learning curve for me. Yeah. So I interned at the Harlem Chamber of Commerce, Upper Manhattan.
That's amazing.
Yeah, family connection, like pure nepotism.
It happens, man. Like we have to use. They do say it is who you know sometimes. Yeah.
So my uncle, he's the CEO of Harlem Chamber of Commerce, so he invited me out to go and intern out there for 2 summers. Amazing. And wow, like my family, and including him, like they're former Black Panthers. Wow. My uncle Lloyd worked for Malcolm X. Wow. So a lot of pressure, bruv.
Listen,
a lot of pressure.
Big Malcolm. That's serious, honestly. But that's amazing.
The mentoring and the learning curves I had from there, I still use every day in how I conduct my business, how I conduct myself. Like what I learned there is really, really important. Yep. And then I worked for Prince's Trust, the youth charity, working, coordinating their enterprise program, helping young people start up businesses and be entrepreneurs. And during that period, I learned so much myself. So I was like, right, I'm not earning much money, but what I am doing, I'm learning skills. So when I want to become self-employed, when I do want to become an entrepreneur, when I do want to start running a business, I'm going to have all the skills and knowledge. So I did that. Then I went to South America for a year backpacking. Because I was like 27, and I was like, I really want to go backpacking, but I don't want to wait until I'm old and retired. And injury prone. I want to do it now.
It needs to start going.
And like the way pensions are going at the moment, like who even knows like if they're going to be about when we're that age. So I was like, I want to do that. So I did that. Amazing.
Where did you go? Just
all around South America.
Nice.
And like Colombia, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Peru, Ecuador.
Wow. So you got a good experience of all the different different places, countries.
And it was cheap. We did it cheaply as well. I went with my girlfriend at the time, but we did it really cheap. It didn't cost that much. We were doing there's 2 websites at the time, and they're still about now probably. One called Workaway and one called Help X. Where like in exchange for volunteering for like 3 hours a day, 3-4 hours a day, maybe 5, 4, 6 days a week, you get your food and board for free.
Oh, nice.
So we were doing that a lot.
That's nice.
So that made it like really affordable.
Absolutely, yeah. Anyway, you can save, especially when you're travelling.
Yeah,
you can save some.
And like the soft skills you learn from that, like, you know, I got like quite good conversational Spanish.
Nice.
You know, I hated languages at school.
Okay.
But being thrown into a position where you have to speak it day in, day out, you learn. It's amazing what the brain can do when it has to learn.
Man, it's so crazy, like the immersion, right?
Yeah.
And you immerse yourself in it.
Yeah. And like my communication skills really like improved as well. My negotiation skills improved.
Yeah, because negotiation is the communication, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like these are things that are just not that really taught in the education system.
Yes.
Sometimes you've just got to go out there and throw yourself in situations where you're out of your comfort zone and you know, you learn stuff. But anyway, moving forward, and I went to London.
Yeah. Nice.
And I was working for the City of London Corporation as their city culture executive.
Wow.
So I was like doing, I was putting on like outdoor cinema events in the city.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
I was on the steering group of a £3 million arts project called Great Fire 350.
Wow.
Or London is Burning, and it was to commemorate the Great Fire of London.
Yeah. I was just about to.
And that was great being part of that. Like as part of that project, we decided to put like a wooden barge in the middle of the Thames and like set it on fire and have like 70,000 people all around the Thames watching.
That's brilliant.
Which was cool.
Yeah. To signify obviously for the fire.
Yeah. And that was great. I feel like I had to get out of London to have I had to get out of Bristol to have those experiences because, you know, dealing with bigger budgets, knowing how to handle different types of people. Yep. I felt like it sort of accelerated my career. Like maybe what I did in London in those 3 years maybe would have took me like 10 years in Bristol. So
yeah, I see what you mean. So you go outside where the limitations are to get the necessary learning.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So it was good to do. And then I came back to Bristol with nothing.
Wow. So you just had your experience.
Yeah, I started again. Like I wanted to get out of London. I came back to Bristol, and I came back to Bristol with nothing. I had no job, no real income. I moved back in with my mum. Yeah. I was 31. Yeah. I just started again. Yeah. But I felt like I needed to do it.
Yeah. Sometimes that is the case.
Sometimes the best thing you can do is to start again.
Yeah. And a note on that as well too, because I think a lot of people are going through that same thing where they feel uncomfortable if they are late 20s, early 30s, still maybe living at home with family.
Yeah, not where they want to be.
Yeah, feeling uncomfortable, like, oh man, like I'm really way behind where I should be. And I like to think that, I've spoken to enough people now to know that that's not the case, especially in this current economy that we're living in.
Exactly, yeah.
It's not like when our parents and grandparents were moving out in their early 20s and could get a mortgage and get a property, get consistent employment. We're living in a different environment now.
Yeah, I mean, to get a mortgage back in, our parents' day, your salary, the mortgage would only be like double your salary. The price of a house would only be double your salary. Roughly. But now it's like 7, 8, 9 even times, like 10 times. Renting is gone through the roof. There's not the availability of social housing and council housing as there once were.
True.
So for our generation, millennials or whatever you want to call it, to find your feet and to live independently has become a lot more difficult.
Yes.
And I was house sharing. I've been house sharing for 12 years, from uni, then in Bristol, then in London, and then having moved back in with my mum at 31 for like a month or so. A mate had a room available in a house, so I did that. And then again, not really earning much or doing much. And then a friend of mine that runs BCFM radio, Patrick Hart, said, I think you'd be good at radio. Come and shadow me. Come and
see what I do. Yeah.
I was like, all right. Well, I'm not doing much else.
Yeah. Just like trying to find yourself almost at that point. Like, what do I really want? I've got all these skills. Yeah.
Because it's difficult. Because you can sort of overgas yourself sometimes.
Oh, true.
Because I came back from London to Bristol.
Yeah. You're like a guy. Like
I'm big fish, small pond.
Yeah.
I've got a master's. I've got all this.
Whoa now.
I've got all this experience.
You man should know me.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And the world just kind of reminds you, doesn't it?
I got humbled, but I needed it, you know? I think we all need it from time to time, just to be like, hey.
Yeah, chill, relax yourself.
Exactly. Built from scratch again, learn patience, you know. There are people that get overnight success, but I would say that's like
few and far between.
2%, 2, 3, 4, 5% maximum. Yeah. The other 95% of people that are, you know, happy, because that is part of success, are doing what they want to do, where they want to be. You know, it's taken them time and hard work.
Yes.
So,
I mean, just a note on that as well. I had a conversation with, shout out to my boy Kershaw, who I had on last episode, and he was talking about a lot of these overnight success individuals. They come and they go, and we get enamored by the thought of thinking that if you make it quickly, then you're going to be fine. But you don't necessarily see the back end. You don't see how they do it. You don't know even the circumstances. So I think chasing that and thinking I would want that quick overnight success, you get lost. And like you said, sometimes developing all those skills, the experience, the soft skills, language, these are all things that expand, open your mind to new concepts, new ideas. And I think I always advocate for taking it longer and take more time, because you're going to hold on to the things you actually learn, as opposed to get it quick and it tends to go quick. Do you know what I mean?
And it's how you see, and it's how you view success as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's honestly, the idea of success is just what you make it to
it's
be.
fleeting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It means something different to each person.
It really does.
You know?
It really does. I personally think I'm going to quote a football manager.
Okay.
You may well know them, Arsene Wenger.
Oh, the legend himself.
The professor.
Yeah, le professeur.
Yeah, I read his autobiography recently, and he was saying, you know, a successful life is one that is lived by a person's values. So whatever you value in life, whether it's family, to have children, to, you know, just to live, not always having to like want to be in the public eye or have loads of followers on social media, but just, you know, to get by, or if it is to, you know, chase the fame and do these things, like that's fine.
Absolutely.
But you know, that's if that's your values and that's what you want to do, then that's a successful life. And we shouldn't look down on people that choose not to do that or don't want to do that.
No, I agree.
Because sometimes they're the happiest people, uncontent people.
Absolutely. So true. So getting into the radio things now. Because I know you've worked on some really cool projects and you've collaborated already. So talk to us a little bit about like your journey since you started shadowing.
Yeah, so if you told me that I'd been making most of my living from radio and podcasting 4 or 5 years ago, I think I would have laughed in your face.
You'd be like,
really? You'd be like, what?
Huh?
Radio, podcasting, I've never done that before.
Yeah,
So I just started shadowing on the breakfast show, seeing how it's done, talking, building up your confidence, learning how all the tech works and the buttons, etc. So then I started like hosting my own show over time, called Think Globally, Act Locally. And the great thing about community radio, I think a lot of people look down on community radio, but it's a way in to media where you may not get opportunities elsewhere, you know?
Yeah, I know a couple of people just that I've grown up with that have gotten in through just community-based radio, local BBCs.
And the great thing about community radio is you can be yourself. You can build your own voice, your own style. I think sometimes when people go into like a big institution like the BBC or like I don't know, there's you know, various other media stuff, they feel like they may have to like fit in and be and act a certain way.
I see what you mean.
Whereas like with community radio and also social media, like you can just do your own thing as well.
That's true. That's a good point.
And let them come to you.
Develop your it's like developing the traits of success, like we talked about earlier, but you're doing it through something that you're passionate about, and it's who you are, as opposed to, like you said, you join a corporation or a big industry, a big company, and then you end up kind of adhering to the philosophy and then you kind of become what the company wants.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I am introducing myself, but I'm bringing through the passion behind it. I'm giving opportunities, and
which is good for some people, but for some people it might not be.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly. It's the point of the choice.
Yeah.
And I think before it's been very much confinement. I think we're starting to open the doors a little bit more. Like, what is success? Like, what's your idea of it?
Like my advice for anyone wanting to get into media now or entertainment is just do it. Just crack on, do it. Podcasting, you need a microphone and a laptop, literally good to go. Social media, a decent phone with a decent camera, create your content. There's so much free software you can use.
I told this to anyone who asked me about podcasting, because I get a lot of questions, as you can imagine, like, you know, what camera do you use, what and as you can see, and I say it to everyone, just a mobile phone, my phone, a simple little studio microphone.
There's Oscar nominated films now that have been made using an iPhone,
and that is all we need to know. if that doesn't inspire you as somebody who's a content creator, I don't know what will, because it's not a case of before where you needed to buy in. You know, there was an entry fee before in order to get yourself into certain
and
rooms.
Who you knew, and if you had the resources, the access to buy equipment, etc. But now it's really open. Yes,
absolutely. At least to learn, and you can get your foot through the door, and it can just speed up that learning curve process. You know what I mean? So I mean, getting to see. Go ahead.
Just along this line as well. So then I started presenting, started producing my own content and podcasts. And one of the best advice someone said to me was, because I was like doing all this stuff and doing all this content, and a part of me was like, why am I not getting other gigs? Why isn't, like, I don't know, BBC? Maybe like I was applying for stuff, but I wasn't getting it. But I was like, I've done all this. Why is it not happening? And then someone said to me, Marcus, do produce content that they should be doing, and produce content that is better than what they're doing, and then they'll come to you. So I kept going, kept working. I produced this podcast series called 12 Communities, One Bristol, which is like a local oral history podcast of different areas around Bristol. You know, really went in on it. George the Poet's podcast, can't remember what it's called. Have you listened to George's podcast, something like that? I have, That was really inspiring in how he did it. It changed my whole perspective on what audio and what podcasts can be. And I just made my own thing. And as a result of that, I started getting emails and phone calls from BBC.
There we go.
From other people and organisations as well.
See, what a lot of people don't realise, when, you know, because I've had a chance to work with some really cool companies that a lot of people know about, but when you work in big brands, what I've realised is they like individuals who are who they are, as opposed to ones trying to, you know, not necessarily fit in, but kind of, you know, push to the side who they actually are to kind of fit a role. They kind of wanted to see who you are as an individual, because we don't put enough faith in ourselves sometimes. Like, we go into these places and think, I need to keep my head down, and don't poke your head above the parapet. But I think a lot of the time people want to see confidence. They want to see you, like, who are you? What do you do? Like, what are you passionate about?
Back yourself. It was I always remember playing football in the changing rooms. It's like, lads, you've got to back yourself.
Do you know what I mean? Half time, you're like, come on, man. You just need to, literally, you can get past him. You just need to believe it. You can do, you know what I mean? You literally, like, speak things into existence. I'm kind of the same as well, you know what I mean, in terms of the sport philosophy of, because I played football for so long, like from the age of 6 up until like damn near 21, it's instilled. It's like it's instilled character, like the things that you can relate and give people good examples that relate to life. You know, like we talk about teamwork, working in a team, G'ing up your boys, like, come on man, like, believe in yourself, from leadership to being the captain and having to have a higher responsibility than other players on it. It teaches you things that will relate in the real world, you know what I mean? So,
and then, like, as you age as well, going into management, coaching, You know,
Exactly.
it's a life journey that you could interpret through football.
Yes, 100%. So one thing I did want to ask you was, obviously because you've gotten into the political side of things and you have a good understanding of it, have you ever considered anything like sport politics, or have you ever had any conversations about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of politics in sport, isn't there? I mean, with the Qatar World Cup that happened recently, there was lots going on, wasn't there? Around that.
Mm-hmm.
What I like about sport is, compared to a lot of things in life, it's like almost like the purest form of meritocracy. Because in sport,
that's so true. That is so true.
With sport, it doesn't, particularly football, because you don't need much to do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who your dad is, who your mum is, how much money you come from. In football, if you're not good, you just won't play. You just won't get in the team.
100%.
So,
and you'll know.
Yeah.
You'll know as well yourself, won't you?
That's why I love it.
Yeah. Yes, it's so true. Like, I think I've said that recently before. I can't remember what episode I remember saying it, but the thing I love about football, just like you mentioned, is that it's who you are, and that is what gets you on the pitch. And a lot of places, as we know, let's be honest, politics,
it's not like that.
Explain that.
Work, organisations, companies, it's
corporations.
Not like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's prerequisites.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, have this before you get this. Like, I'm just letting you in. Who do you think you are? And it's just like, you're in football, it's just like, oh, you're quick, strong? I need you down the left wing because we need to get that ball over the top. So it's interesting when you think about how that divide has happened. And I think for a lot of athletes, when they come into the working world, that's where I've seen a lot of them go into leadership roles. I've seen a lot of them go into, team bonding, leadership dynamics type of things, where they end up being a supervisor, a leader, a manager, typically. And it's because they've got that understanding of meritocracy.
And you've been coached
and trained from a young age to understand how to work in a team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, there's a lot of beautiful things that connect from sport into the real world. But, that must be really, really interesting. But, so let's talk a little bit about, as you mentioned, that diversity within Bristol.
Yeah. So you know how like companies and organisations are accused of greenwashing?
Yes.
So, they'll be like, we're doing this to cut our carbon emissions and we stopped using plastic straws. Like, great, cool. But like, are you doing it to the extent that you're claiming to? And is this some sort of like just public relations
PR stunt?
And I feel like diversity, inclusion is used in the same way.
Okay.
Where they'll have the nice, diverse photos on their website, but when you go into their office, it's a very different image and environment. So that's like that's Bristol. But I think in the bigger scales, I've just got into filmmaking now, so I've just started to write and direct my own films.
Amazing.
It's going really, really well. And as I mentioned earlier, I've been acting since I was a teenager.
Yes.
So, and the acting has continued. So throughout all the time I've been travelling in London and whatever, I was still doing the acting jobs here and there as well.
Yeah.
But with that world, I think there's lots of people that look like you and I in front of camera, and increasingly so. Like every advert, bruv. Every advert.
Facts.
Which is,
it's true. It's true. We understand.
Getting paid. It's fine.
100%. We don't want to see you not get that.
But it's behind camera.
Yeah.
That I'm more interested in now.
Me too. Yeah, me too. I've kind of typically been in focused a little bit on what goes on behind there.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Because acting, you are portraying someone else's image and story. But now I'm wanting people to, and all sorts of people, to portray my image and my story, and from my perspective and how I see it.
Because inevitably, that will be people who look like you, who come from where you come from, and it's not just a race thing.
No, it's all sorts.
It's
class,
it's culture.
Yeah, it's all sorts. Yeah.
Agreed. So, seeing that stark difference, what would you say the one biggest standout thing? Because I spoke with, shout out to Yao, who was on recently. He's also got in through acting as well, and he's now doing film directing. But I asked him the same question. But like for you, what was the biggest difference between being in front of the camera to having to be behind it for you?
I'm discovering that I enjoy it more being behind camera.
Nice.
I think there's an assumption sometimes, maybe the way you look or whatever. They're like, oh yeah, you'll be great in front of camera.
Yeah. like you're supposed to just do it now.
Yeah. But not maybe thinking that I have a story to tell, or I could be behind camera, I could be the director, I could be the producer, I could be the writer. And actually I'm finding it more fun.
I like that.
Because acting's weird. Acting's weird. I did really, really well with acting from like an early age, and I continued throughout my life, and I still do the odd job now. But looking back, I'm not sure if I enjoyed it that much. Because everyone else thought, oh, acting, that must be fun, that must be great.
Yeah.
But looking back, I'm not quite sure if I enjoyed it that much, actually.
I see what you mean.
I loved it as a teenager because it was fun. But when it started to become about, your living and making money from it, I don't know, it took a bit of the fun out of it, and I felt a bit pressurised, and also being the way I look with a Bristol accent and not sounding like I'm from South London. Yeah. Which a lot of, the narrative is of people that look like us.
Yes, true.
I was just like, felt a bit. I was like, I don't want
out of place.
Yeah, I don't want to keep having to deal with this.
Yeah.
So I sort of took a step back and did other stuff. But now I'm going back into it from a writing and directing perspective, where I can create my own story.
Nice.
And in a way, I want to be that director, which I maybe wish I had at the time when I was acting.
Yeah. So you can have that. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
You almost want to create, because what I've realised in film is that you create an environment on set, and then you create the environment on screen.
Yeah.
Those are two different things. Yeah. So people have the assumption that certain productions are going to mimic essentially what you're trying to showcase, but it's not necessarily the case. You might find that the set is very high paced, high functioning, things are going 100 miles an hour, no one's really got time to talk and engage.
It doesn't have to be that way.
Exactly. It doesn't necessarily have to be that way, but that's by choice. That's by design. So if you're not in positions to dictate how the movie goes, how the production goes, you can't really dictate the pacing, you can't dictate who does what, when, where, and all of that. So it's not just about the role, like you said, from going from acting to film. What I see it almost is like being in position to not feel like pressured to do the on-screen, chase the starlights, and want to be the person that kind of gets the glamour, as opposed to being able to dictate how it goes, tell the story, but also dictate the production, the pacing of it, how we interact with each other. Like if I was to be directing a film, hypothetically, I would like to be able to spend time with each person in the production. Now we know, of course, there are time constraints and all sorts of things. We get it, budgets and things like that. But I think the relationship with the people you have is more important, because they're going to be the ones helping you to create what you're doing. So if they're coming into work feeling like this is just a job, then how much are you really going to get out of them? So I always try to think on that next level. How can you extract more value out of people? How can you make them feel empowered, even if they're doing such a simple task? So that is something I noticed in film, and like you said, being able to direct it, you could actually probably control those things, right?
Yeah. So I've just made my film directing debut.
Brilliant.
Short film called Retreat.
Amazing.
I got some funding to make it, only a few £1,000 initially for the first film. And I was like, I've got to make it now.
Now you got that money, God. Work. I know.
So Retreat, it's a real simple 10-minute film, narrative, fiction, about a young couple of colour that are attempting to reconnect in nature. So living in a world now where we're all busy.
That's true.
And we're all on our phone. Apparently, when we're on our phone, and then like we happen to be with a friend or in a relationship, and we're just looking at our phone. It's called fubbing. It's a word.
Really? There's a term for it.
Fubbing. Phubbing. Fubbing. So the film's about fubbing.
Yeah. Okay.
They're not getting on, and then they go off into nature, away from technology, to try and rekindle their relationship. Do they or don't they? Then you have to watch it. But
okay.
And also with this film, I wanted to challenge assumptions around race and gender as well. So quite often, people that look like us are often depicted in urban environments, graffiti, hip hop, R&B, which is great, amazing. But as I said earlier, we're not monolithic.
Absolutely.
And so this film, it's predominantly set in like a European rural environment. Out in Somerset,
nice,
near Glastonbury. There's cows and sheep in it, etc.
I love that.
Seeing us in a different environment from what's usually like thrown at us in culture and society as a whole. And the soundtrack is opera.
Amazing. Yeah, I like that.
With an African American opera singer that happens to live in Bristol, Rob Short. Thank you. Amazing.
Brilliant. Shout out to you, son.
Wow, he's great. Rob Short, look into him. Opera singer in Paris, in America, Ireland, and now in the southwest of England as well.
Wow.
So he did that, recorded it. But I didn't want it to be like a typical opera song.
Okay.
So I've got a mate called Wilf de Salis in. And I was like, I've got an opera song. It's like some old German song about nature. But I want you to Bristolfy it. And he was like, I know what you mean.
He's like, I got you.
I got you. And he put like a little bit of drum and bass.
I was just about to say it was drum and bass.
A bit of drum and bass.
I was just about to say, you had that drum and bass beat
in his opera song. And it works, man, it works.
110.
Because I didn't know, I did the filming, then I did the opera song with a bit of drum and bass, and then we had to bring it and edit it together. And I remember in the first edit with Patch, and I was like, oh, it works. It works great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That is really cool. See, fusion as well was.
And the film has been a bit mad. I just wanted to make like a watchable, coherent film and to learn the process. And as a result, it's been selected for 18 film festivals around the world now.
Oh, bravo. Congratulations.
Thank you, from India to Russia.
And congrats as well to anyone else who's helped on production.
You
know what I'm saying? Because I know anyone who helped on the production.
So to Patch, to Cassie, to Rob, Wilf, Patrick Phillips as well. Thank you. It was a great experience. And
learning experience too, right?
It's been shown all over France, Italy. I've been flown out to California to show it and talk about it.
That's amazing.
Italy as well. So it's been a bit of a mad one. So I've written my new one. I'm trying to get funding for that,
of course,
and maybe that will
be a little bit more of a smoother.
But that's further down.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, congratulations for that, man, because there's nothing like creating something from your mind and then seeing validation in the real world, because it shows that you can manifest things. I know I've talked a lot about manifesting on here, and it's quite funny because I never really liked the term manifesting, because it's more conceptual rather than purpose-based, even though it's very meaningful, it's very important. I think to visualize, it takes me back to football. I used to remember sitting in the car and meditating before games on what I wanted to do in the game. Alright, cool, I want to cross it there, I want to beat a guy there, and I'm going to score this, or I'm going to cross it the visualization is so important. But I think sometimes we can get lost with the term manifesting as just think about it. You know what I mean? Just think about good stuff and it will come. Trust me, it's just going to come. And I like to say, whoa, okay. There's a second part of that. It's like a sandwich. You need the other part of the bread, the other slice of bread, I think, is the action. So manifest, absolutely. Think about it, conceptualize it, but then start thinking about practicality. How can you meet people? How can you collaborate? Things like this. And then things that you're doing, now you're being flown out to places you wouldn't have pictured that from before. You didn't say we're going to get 20 film festivals and we're going to be good, guys.
Yeah, that was not in my plan.
Absolutely.
No.
And that's the beauty of creation from the mind, So, congrats to you, brother, honestly, and everyone on the production, because it's a lot of hard work, and a lot of it's thankless sometimes.
It is. And another thing, with the production of Retreat, what was really important for me, and we were talking about the culture of the set, I really wanted to be gender balanced as well. So it was like 50-50 gender balanced on set all the time.
That's brilliant.
And I think that comes through in the feel of the film as well.
It's true, because you have the representation and having to force things in that you don't know about. You've got people there. That's amazing. So you've been wrapped up, I'm guessing, in a lot of that work, or is that kind of like slowed now, or are you still kind of flying out, you still got places to go?
I mean, as you know, like being a creative freelancer, sometimes you're really, really busy, sometimes you're not so busy, and I sort of dread the question sometimes when people ask, what do you do? So I'm like, what am I doing this week? Or what am I doing this month? What am I doing this year?
I know,
So filmmaking is one part of it, but I'm also always doing podcasts, also doing radio, and as I mentioned earlier, I've started playing around with virtual reality,
amazing,
and 3D scanning and creating metaverses.
Let's talk about that real quick while we're here, because this is something that's a very common trend in up and coming future virtual reality, but I always like to hear from people who know what they're talking about. I don't like to speak about things
I know a little bit.
Well, no, I mean, even light experience is good, because, as opposed to someone who's just seen it online. Do you know what I mean? So tell us a little bit about what you're working on at least.
Where to start? It's funny. So about a year ago or so, I got recruited to work on this project called Story Trails.
Okay. Yes, I remember this. Yeah. That's the first thing we spoke about.
It was billed as like the UK's largest or biggest immersive event to date. And to be fair, I mean, it's gone pretty well.
It did. I mean, from what I saw, it looked amazing.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, there were 15 towns and cities around the country.
Okay.
I was like the person in Bristol.
Okay, nice.
And we had to spend like a few months going around our hometowns, talking to interesting people.
Yeah.
And getting them to talk about an area or a space or a room or a building that meant a lot to them.
Yeah.
Because a lot of this metaverse and virtual reality tech, I think geography and location is going to be an important part of that.
I agree.
So that's what this project was all about. And as a result of interviewing people and then also 3D scanning them, and then also 3D scanning objects and rooms and buildings and environments, we created these virtual reality metaverse worlds of different towns and cities around the country. So I did the Bristol one.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
And the whole point about it was, how do we make this tech and this future as inclusive as possible?
Yes. Yeah.
So we had all sorts of people involved, all sorts of people we were interviewing.
Nice.
And also for people to have pride of place. I think quite often people think like their life is not important. But all our stories are so unique.
Yes.
We all have a story to tell.
We do.
All our cities, towns, neighbourhoods, estates, whatever, have a history to them, have stories, have lives lived in them.
Yes, they do.
And that's what Story Travel is all about. So the outcome of this is I created like a 16-minute film which was shown at the Bristol Central Library.
Okay, yeah.
And we had 3,000 people come through that weekend with some other stuff going on. There's like an AR trail and other bits and bobs.
Yeah.
And it's also now available on the British Film Institute player, BFI player, online as well.
Wow.
So that was fun.
Amazing.
But it's funny, projects are funny, isn't it? Because that project, I got it.
Yeah.
And for like a long period of time, I really didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it because it was quite a full-on schedule.
Yeah.
We had to interview like 30 people in the space of like 6 weeks.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
And they had to be good, and we had to do 3D scanning, and we had to upload the audio and everything. And I was just like,
it's like being on set.
I was like, is this worth it? Is this worth it? But I managed to get through it and push through it. And in hindsight, wow, it's opened so many doors. I'm more knowledgeable of that world and that technology now. So yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Well, I'm glad that you said something really key there. It's something very, very small, but you didn't really want to do it, but you did it.
Yeah.
See, that's something I think that we need to encourage a bit more.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of times we're going to feel things, and you know, you don't necessarily sure if it's gonna work, but pushing through, persevering. If you don't like it, you at least now know.
Exactly.
And then if you do like it, you know now why. So that's why I kind of focus a little bit more on like perseverance and trying to go through things, even if it feels a bit uncomfortable.
But a big shout out to people I worked with on that project. Nina Brown, Will Saunders, and sort of one of the big creative leads on it was the historian David Olashuga.
Amazing.
He provided like a lecture for us at the beginning.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And just a great people to work with.
Yes.
And you know, it's about building networks as well, connections. That was part of the reason I stayed on the project. But then also, in the end, it's been really well. So getting out of your comfort zone. Not everything you do as a creative is going to be like this amazing creative journey. You know,
tell them again. So true. People.
Some of it's going to be struggle. Some of it's going to be pedantic. You know, I've got friends who make feature films, and they're just like, it's such a pedantic process.
Yeah.
Months, years it can take.
Yes.
Like, what are you doing to yourselves? But
yeah. It's true. But if you love it, right? Or you have a passion for it.
Yeah. If you're building towards something, these things take time, and it's not always. I think it was Will Smith. He was like, "Oh, people think it's showbiz parties and red carpet, but actually the filming process is really pedantic."
It very much.
Daniel Craig, James Bond.
Yeah.
He was speaking to one of the extras on a James Bond film.
Yeah.
And the extra said that conversation. So I kept doing this scene like 10, 12, 15, 20 times. And apparently Daniel Craig said to one of the extras, "It's boring, isn't it?"
Yeah, big Daniel said that. There you go. And that tells you right there. No, because it's true. When you do get a chance to work on productions, I've been very lucky to, you see how monotonous it can be.
15, 16 hour days. Like, there needs to be
100%.
laws implemented. Like, it's not healthy.
I know.
But people do it because they love it and they want to be part of it.
Yes, exactly. And that is the cool part. It's like, you know, once it is said and done, and you get to see the final end product after it's been through edit, and you know, you're like, okay, all right, wow. And it makes you feel good. You know, I was recently looking at a trailer that's for a production that I've got that's coming out in November, and it was just like, wow, like I remember what that part of the set looks like. You know, even little things like that is exciting to me, because you're like, I remember that bit of the set, and we had to like cover that bit there so that it wouldn't get seen, so the audience will never know. But
there's a scene in Retreat, the film that I made, where it's blissful, like this lake scene. And the birds are like flying off and the sun's setting, but they don't see it as me behind trying to like scare the birds. They're like,
I'm just trying to get them to fly off in unison.
But when you see the film, it's like so like serene.
Oh man, that's hilarious. See, that's the thing. The things behind the scenes you don't realise that you chuckle and laugh at, and when they come on screen, it's like it could be the complete opposite of what you actually were doing. It's brilliant. It's great to have those stories. Man.
And there's a really fun scene with cows. There's cows in the scene where they sort of behave perfectly behind camera in the background. But like, you know, some of the people on the set were panicking.
Oh yeah, because there's like there's a bunch of cows that's like lingering around, and they're going to come for us.
Are they going to charge? And I've got responsibility. Because they might do.
Yeah, you got insurance to worry about.
So I was just like, let's all breathe. They'll act according to how we're acting. So if we're cool and calm,
they should be cool and calm.
They should be cool and calm. And then they behaved, and then we got on with the scene.
That's
because if you start panicking instead of movements,
it's true.
If I was a cow, I'd charge.
100%. I mean, you think about it, it's like they're very docile, very calm creatures. So you can imagine all these frantic humans all around them. Beings, like, what are you guys doing with cameras? Like, first of all, no one's given me a disclaimer. Okay, I haven't signed any NDAs. Okay, why are you just filming me without my rights? Like, I need a contract first.
Big up cows, man.
I know, they just sit there, just get shot and just filmed. And
big up cows.
Oh man. But yeah, man. So fast forward then to now. Obviously, that wealth of experience, years acting, diversity, traveling, backpacking, all of that has gotten to you to where you are now. So what would you say is your priority focus now? Would you say you're kind of more in the film side of things, or you just kind of keep it open to see where it might take you next?
Yeah, I think I remember saying this from like a young age, like my priority has always been to have as much experience as possible.
Okay.
I think it was Trevor Noah said it. He was like, seeing your net worth in terms of experiences. And I think that's actually been my goal since university. 20s, just trying out all these different things, learning all these different worlds and industries. And now I think, being 36 now and having done all those very random, often not connected but sort of connected things, that I'm in a really strong position now to be able to tell more authentic stories, stories from experience.
Absolutely.
I've been in situations, I've worked in factories and offices and been in different parts of the world, and I just think it will be beneficial for me now. Now I'm going into that more writing and storytelling and producing world, that I have all that experience to bring into
the camera,
into the camera, into the headphones, into virtual reality, metaverse, whatever I'm making and creating. I've got that with me and behind me, and not to, feel like I have to be boxed or categorized or play to stereotypes. Like, be free, and experiment and play.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, honestly, as we get to the conclusion of our conversation, I mean, we've spoken about some amazing things. This is just the beginning, guys, of hopefully a bridge between, the Slough community and hopefully the Bristol community, and we'll try and work on some things behind the scenes to make more of these conversations happen. But I always do words of wisdom, and I always try to get some words of wisdom from the individual.
Wow,
So,
pressure.
yeah, well, I mean, it's with your wealth of experience, I think it's good for you to for sharing for some. I always say, I look at it like the younger person or the younger version of yourself, which is nice, because sometimes you don't have to give advice to someone you don't know. Sometimes giving advice to a younger version of you can be just as beneficial for someone out there. So yeah, man, what would be some words of wisdom you'd share for someone coming up who wants to kind of follow in that same path?
Yeah, I think what I would say, what's really helped me is, I feel like in life sometimes it can always feel like other people know better than you, and always it can feel like sometimes, whether it's from your parents or friends or family or colleagues or whatever, sort of maybe trying to pressure you to do stuff that you may not want to do. So, I think it's really important to listen to your intuition. Listen to your intuition. What is that? I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's listening to your intuition.
Inner conscience.
Look up the word intuition. It's a fascinating word and concept, and something I try and live by. But at the same time, it is important to listen and take advice, but be selective. My motto about taking advice is I only take advice from people that are doing what I want to do or have done it. That's good.
I like that too. I do that very much.
And that's not just work and professional stuff, that can also be personal stuff as well, relationships as well.
I think it should be, especially. You shouldn't do it in work and then I'm getting success in work, but then I'm listening to these guys and it's not helping my social life.
I know. So there's no reason to be it's fine to be choosy and selective of where you get your advice and inspiration from, and you have a right to do that and to do that as well.
Well, that's brilliant. I mean, I think it's just that in itself, being able to give yourself that a bit of a pat on the back, but like you said, taking the advice, being selective, and not feeling bad about being selective, working from people, take advice from people that are accomplished in your field. I like that.
your parents may be great at certain types of advice, but they may not be so good at some other types of advice. Like my life as a creative freelancer, there's no one in my family that has the lifestyle that I have.
So they can't necessarily...
So it's difficult. It can be, sometimes it's been really difficult having conversations about what I do or what I want to do. Because
yeah. You want to do what?
What?
Yeah?
Yeah,
I know. It's deep.
And that's just, a lot of the time it's sort of love from them as well. Like,
of course.
So sometimes you do have to go get out there and talk to people outside of your networks, outside of your world to find that. And I think for me, when I started doing acting as a teenager, that opened my world to different people from around Bristol, all around Bristol, and now I'm doing art and creative stuff.
Yeah.
That
unlocks the doors. Yeah, very true. So when you are thinking about what to do, when you're now doing film writing, scripting,
it started then. It started that 11, 12, 13-year-old kid that didn't have much to do because he was injured.
Yeah, there you go. Don't give up, guys. Honestly, like, messages to anyone, whether you're an athlete, you used to be an athlete, you're into acting, entertaining, art, whatever.
Yeah.
You're not stagnant. You can
lawyer.
Yeah.
Chemical engineer.
Yeah. 100%.
Cleaning company.
Yeah. Bricky. Labor.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. It doesn't really matter what you're passionate about.
Do it well. Do it good.
Yeah.
And know your worth. Get paid.
Yeah. Very key. 100%. That's what sometimes the artists get lost in that one.
Yeah.
They get a bit lost in the whimsical, like, oh, I'm creating this amazing thing. Then next thing you know, they're just broke for 10 years. It's like, understand there's a balance. You sometimes you have to suffer not making much or anything in the early stages, but when you get to a point and you've got some value, you've got bring something to the table, make sure you do get what you're worth.
Get your paper.
100%.
Yeah. And just talking about social media a little bit as well. Like, I've made produced some content about social media with BBC.
Brilliant.
That was when they got in contact.
Nice.
Oh, that's such a good story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Can
I maybe mention?
Yeah, go on then, of course.
I don't know how much time we got.
Go on.
So yeah, BBC, I said I wanted to make content that was so good they'd approach me. So it happened. BBC approached me, and initially they wanted me, this is BBC Radio 4, they wanted me to make something that was relating to slavery.
Oh wow, okay.
It's like, wow.
The big...
So deep.
Yeah,
and
I know.
I was like, no. I just flat out refused. I said no.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're used to that. And then we were talking, and it was a woman actually.
Okay.
It was a woman who approached me, and I said as a woman approaching me to do something about slavery, how would you feel if you were constantly approached about something that was related to rape or breast cancer?
Yeah.
Because quite often someone that looks like us is approached to do stuff on knife crime and slavery.
Oh yeah, I've been approached many times.
So it's like, why, it's not nice, is it?
Nah, 100%. Yeah, we don't want to talk about the darkest sides of our story.
It's important to talk about.
It is
100%.
Yeah,
it's really important to talk about. But if you are someone that haven't made yourself to be a spokesperson on it, or someone that's done stuff on it before,
it's out of character. You feel and
it's fine. I will do stuff about those subjects, but when I want to, and on my own terms.
Yeah, agreed.
And then after I said that to her, she just went, "Okay, Marcus, do what you want on any subject."
Okay. Nice.
And I did it on social media.
Brilliant.
And technology and artificial intelligence and stuff that I'm interested in.
Yeah, I like that. Because then, like you said, you're able to, saying no. It's important. Getting to that point where you're able to say no to things is very key. Very key, because it's a character thing.
And another thing I said to her, I said, I grew up in deep South Bristol, which is like semi-rural.
Yeah.
I was more afraid of like stampeding cows
than you were about
than I was of like knife crime.
Yeah, I hear you. So it's completely different mentality of what you're asking.
Yeah.
I know. I
You
know
know.
where you're coming from.
Anyway,
We're not monolithic.
not monolithic. You know, it's just interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
What we place on skin colour and how people look, and etc. etc.
Agreed.
But you know, we're getting better.
We are. We're getting there. We're improving. We're breaking down walls. Shall I say. Yeah.
I always say, you know, probably in like a few hundred years' time, it might be like, what's it called, post-race.
Yeah.
I like to think I try and conduct myself post-race, but I understand that's not the world that we live in.
Of course. Yeah. No, but I see what you mean, though, in terms of mindset, trying to be open, trying,
trying at least.
I know it's not easy.
And from my family and background as well, you know, it's trying to.
Yeah. Agreed.
But then talking about social media earlier, it's a sort of a wisdom thing as well. Like I have some friends, and I know some people that have thousands of followers on Facebook, on social media.
Yeah.
Thousands of followers on social media.
Yeah.
They've got content that's gone viral with millions of views, but they're not getting paid. They're not getting the money.
But yes.
So like, you might have lots of followers, or know people that have lots of followers, but whether they're making it sustainable for themselves, it might not be the case.
Yeah, a lot of the times it is.
You know? But it's also about being good at something as well. Not just about how many followers you have on social media, but actually being good at something.
Yeah.
I have a thing where I say, like, I'd rather be really, really good at something than the amount of people knowing what I do.
Yeah. I like that. That's good, yeah. That's
good.
That's good. Because
but if you can have both, then great.
Oh, fantastic.
Congratulations.
Yeah, well done. Shout out to you. Hit me up.
And like, you know, amazing.
Yeah. No, I agreed. But honestly, man, we've talked about some amazing things in general here today. And it's, for me, I like conversations that, you know, take you outside of what your common denominators are. And, just enlighten people with commonality, differences, experiences.
Yeah, and that's only my opinion and my viewpoint, and I realise that other people's are different. But that's what makes it beautiful, man.
Facts. And that's why I like having this platform, man, because I get to hear these conversations, learn and listen, and take a little piece into my life too. You know what I mean? So I much appreciate it.
And Theo, thank you for doing what you do, creating a platform for people like me and all the other people that you talk to and interview. And
you're welcome, brother.
Yeah, we made it happen.
Yes, we did. It's been a little while coming, man. We've been working on this for a while, and honestly, a massive thanks to you, brother. Again, before we get out of here, BCFM radio, go and check them out. We actually allowed us to use this incredible community hall that they use, Easton Community Centre.
Easton.
Easton Community Centre. London, yeah.
No, you said Euston, right?
I said Euston because I thought it went to my mind. I was thinking Euston Station. And one's Easton. Oh man. But honestly, it's been great. Great conversation, and hopefully it's the beginning of, you know, whether you want to come down to my sides and film some content, you're always more than welcome in Slough, man. But we'll definitely try and make these happen a lot more. Anything else you want to let people know where to find you? What you're working at?
I have a website. I'm on social media, so my website is mnrsmith.uk, and you can find me on social media at mnrsmith on Twitter or X. Whatever Elon Musk is doing. Instagram as well, LinkedIn.
Brilliant, man. Guys, my guy Marcus.
Thank you.
Go and check him out, man. Like, you know, he's on the radio. And
podcasting, virtual reality, all sorts of stuff have happened, and more stuff in the future, which I can't say too much about.
I like that,
because it's like, are you going to get the funding?
Of course. I know.
Freelance life, you just don't know what's happening.
100%. Once it's done, that's what we talk about. What's done? Once it's completed, we can now come and let you know. Do you know what I mean? So maybe when it is done, we'll come back again and we'll highlight it.
Episode 2.
Yes, the one. But for everyone else who's checking out there, anyone who's from your community as well, man, I appreciate you for locking in. Any of the Bristol community.
Big up Bristol, man. Big up Bristol.
Some great people here, honestly.
The future's exciting for Bristol.
Very welcoming, and I would say coming from the Slough, London side of things, like, it's very different. It's very fast paced. Get to it. It's unrelenting.
Yeah.
But I've noticed here there's still that same passion for creativity and getting things done, but it's done in a lot more of a peaceful.
Yeah, they call it Bristol time.
Yeah,
it's a thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Everything's slower.
It's like Caribbean.
Yeah, everything's slower.
It's like Yardman time.
Yeah,
basically.
So, although Bristol is technically a city, it's an oversized village.
yeah.
It's an oversized village. It has a village mentality.
Yeah. Okay.
So it is a bit
more calm, bit more. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. It's definitely got that vibe. But any of you guys who are checking it out, man, and you're into the creativity, no matter what art form you do, definitely come check Bristol out because some really good people.
Do you know Massive Attack? One of Bristol's biggest creative exports.
Yep.
They work with a real famous Jamaican singer called Horace Andy. Okay. Who's like massive.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And there was an interview of him in The Guardian recently.
Yeah.
And he was talking about working with Massive Attack. And he's like, man, those Bristol boys, they work so slowly, they're never in a rush.
And you're just like, yeah, well, that's how we do it over here. Like, I like it. He's saying it like, where's he from, Jamaica?
Yeah.
Well, you should have already done that anyway. Like Jamaican,
Jamaican,
you're already like Jamaican. You got time to be chatting. Boss, relax. But yeah, man, honestly, bro, much thanks for you.
Yeah.
Much thanks to everyone who's been locking in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And I said, hopefully it's the beginning of branching out a little bit. Meeting some people outside of your area, like we talked about.
Yeah, get out the M25.
Trust me, M4. You know what I mean? It's long. It always got 50-mile-an-hour speed limit, average speed limits and stuff. It's long. Get yourself out.
When are these wage works going to be done?
Never, rude boy. It's mad. But beautiful people. Like, share, subscribe. Share this with somebody who's is into this sort of thing, art, creativity. And we're just going to keep the content coming for you. Just keep opening your mind, showing you different types of people. That's really what it comes down to. So again, much love to you, and Marcus Smith, much thanks, should I say, for coming through and showing some time. You know what I mean, bro? So until the next episode, beautiful people, we'll see you very soon. Peace and love. Cover your six.